Good afternoon to all. Welcome to the part focusing on scoping review. I would be introducing to you what are scoping reviews, how it is different from systematic reviews, what are the limitations, and how we are supposed to perform. However, I will not be taking care of how to do the scoping review. That would be taken care as a practical aspect of it, wherein I would be doing it for each and every review. So let me begin and give you the information about the scoping review. So here we go. Now, this is often used at the beginning of an article, dissertation, or the research proposal. Now, for example, if somebody, really is interested to know what is scoping review, so here it is. They have underlined it very clearly that this has to be done at the beginning of the article or the research proposal. Now, it is conducted before the research begins and sets the stage for this research by highlighting gaps in the literature. So we start off immediately our paper or the thesis, showcasing what exactly are the missing gaps in my entire literature, and explaining the need for the research about to be conducted, which is presented in the remaining part of the article. Now, what are the other names for the scoping review? So here we can understand that whenever I'm talking about a scoping review, there are other ways in which it is being referred to. Like, for example, it is also called a scoping study, systematic scoping review, scoping report, scope of the evidence, rapid scoping review, structured literature review, scoping project, or scoping meta review also. Now, what is scoping review? Now, these are the reviews which have great utility for synthesizing research evidence and are often used to categorize or group existing literature in a given field in terms of its nature, features, and volume. Now, this has been, there is a special indication that has been given to us as a note to keep it. And what is it? Now, one has to understand that it should not be confused with a mapping review. So there is a difference between a scoping review as well as the mapping review. Mapping review would be done immediately after this discussion, and then we would be seeing as to what exactly mapping review is. They are two different types of descriptive reviews and are not systematic reviews. So scoping review is a descriptive review as a mapping review. However, both the reviews are still different. So three things are there: scoping review, mapping review. Both of them fall under descriptive reviews. However, both of them are still different and they are not falling under systematic reviews at all. But the methodology is closely related. So we can see what the methodologies are being utilized for the scoping as well as the mapping reviews. Now, what is a scoping review? As it has been defined by Grant and Booth in their work in 2009, and to quote them, they have said, preliminary assessment of potential size and scope of available research literature. It aims to identify nature and extent of research evidence, usually including ongoing research. So we are not going to say that okay, this is to be taken care of later on. No, whenever when I'm into research and I'm doing it, so this is a process and it comes in between the research itself. So scoping reviews are best designed for, and this has been given to us by Peters M. Godfrey C. Khalil H. There are three different writers. One is M. Peters, second one is C. Godfrey, and H. Khalil et al. So this is from their book, and they have defined it as the best designed for with scoping reviews. They say that this is best designed for when a body of literature has not yet comprehensively reviewed. So we have not reviewed completely, or exhibits a large, complex, or heterogeneous nature not amenable to a more precise systematic review. Map existing literature in terms of nature, features, volume, and it clarifies working definitions. Now you see why I have started off the series on definitions. We will again and again I'm repeating it that yes, I'm doing it in parts. However, this is just to understand how my literature reviews, definitions, fallacies, and the one that I'm going to start off on arguments, all of them are interrelated with each other. So coming back to the scoping review, so it clarifies the working definitions and the conceptual boundaries of a topic or field. And plus we are going to identify the gaps in the existing literature or the research. research. So here they have given you a diagram which has shown to us that it's a map, a heating map, I would say. And here you can see that at the beginning we have got the narrative review, which is at the lowest part. Then comes quick scoping review. Then we go for rapid evidence assessment, which I'll be taking care. Again, it is called as REA or pronounced as REA. We will see that also. And full systematic review. So how the entire thing and the color differentiation, you can see how it is starting off with dark green and it slowly moves towards the blue color, indicating that yes, once you have done that, and this we can do it even in R. And in R, when I do my the systematic review or meta-analysis and meta-synthesis, you can see the map which has been coming up will showcase to us all these different colors also. Now, how it is different. Now, how scoping review differs from a systematic review. Coming in terms of the time frame, it takes 12 plus months. Now, if you remember the earlier one, which I have shown to you, the integrative part of it, that also takes 12 plus months. And this also same amount of time as systematic review, or maybe it is a bit longer also. And sometimes it is, again, Grant et al., who wrote the book in 2009, clarifies to us very clearly, varies beyond the type of review, depends on many factors such as, but not limited to, resources available, the quantity and quality of the literature. How much is your quantity? How many articles or research papers you're going to focus on? 10, 20, 15, 25, 300, 400. How many are you going to take it up? And secondly, the quality of the literature also matters to us, and the expertise or experience of the reviewers also. When we talk about the quality of the literature, are we just focusing on ABCD, or am I talking about this corpus literature, or am I just picking up whatever randomly comes to me, and then comes to me in the sense that yes, I'm picking up whatever is available to me, and then am I going ahead with the literature review. Now, in terms of the question, answers broader questions beyond those related to the effectiveness of treatments or interventions. A prior, I wouldn't say a prior review protocol is recommended. Now, there is a complete, I would say, a prisma which has been dedicated exclusively for performing a scoping review, which I'll be taking up in my next part. And there you would be seeing as to how they have dedicated the entire review work. And you will see why it is so important and why I have taken up this thing in the series also under the literature review. Though they say that yes, this is pertaining to the health sciences, nursing sciences, surgical studies and all. However, I would say that even if we are able to incorporate in other branches of knowledge, there's nothing wrong in it, and we will see that how important or how beautifully one can go further into it. Now, the next one is sources and researches. Now, it's still as comprehensive as a systematic review, but much more broader. It's not a narrower thing like systematic review is taking place. Now, may involve multiple structured searches rather than a single structured search. No, maybe after this I will be doing it on systematic search and how systematic and non-systematic searches are different and what exactly happens in those reviews. Then you will be able to understand more as to how the integrative, scoping, critical or historical meta-synthesis, meta-analysis that we are going to take up under different reviews, they are different from the systematic ones. Now, then they tell you that this will produce much more results than a systematic review, and as I said, this involves a prism flow diagram. I'll be showcasing to you what the prism flow diagram is. It's an absolutely a very professional, and the way systematically they are doing this particular review is amazing, and you will see how well a person is dedicated when they are performing this kind of a review. Now, the second one is on basis of the selection. They say that it is based on inclusion or exclusion criteria. Due to the iterative nature of a scoping review, some changes may be necessary. Now, it may require some time spent screening the articles due to large volume of results from the broader question. So, two things we have to understand: larger volume of results on one side, on the other hand, the kind of questions we have picked up. Are they the narrow questions or the broader questions? Number two, review. Number 3, what kind of synthesis we are doing it and how well we want the results to be. So there are certain criteria on which this is going to take place. Appraisal, critical appraisals, which are the optional ones. Risk or bias assessment, again this is optional by nature, is not applicable for scoping review. So tomorrow if somebody asks you that yes, are there any appraisals present, your answer is big no. Reason, there's no critical appraisals and there is no risk of bias assessments also under the scoping reviews. Now synthesis, the extraction of the data for a scoping review may include a charting table or form, but a formal synthesis of findings from individual studies and the generation of summary of findings, which is they call it as SOF. Now similar to what we have the table when we are making in management or the literature, or even in I have seen in biotechnology streams that yes, they draw beautiful graphs or the tables. However, here the summaries which we are going to find it out will be much more different ones, and I will showcase to you that also. Results may include logical diagram or table or any descriptive form that aligns with the scope and objectives of the review. They are not going to get alienated to something else. They have to focus again and again on their project itself. May incorporate a numerical summary and qualitative thematic analysis. So it's not purely the quantitative analysis. They are going to focus even on the qualitative, that also on the thematic analysis. Now this is again we will have to move towards the qualitative analysis series of mine to understand what exactly is taking place under this one. Now coming over to the limitations of a scoping review, first and foremost, it is not easier than systematic review. It is not faster than a systematic review. So both of them goes. It's not a short-term one, number one, and it's not a very easy cup of coffee to be prepared and then consumed. It requires a lot of time for us, and it may take longer time, that's what I said, and more citations to screen. We are not just going to focus exclusively on whatever ABC is coming to me. I need to see how many citations a particular article or the particular paper has taken, and we do a lot of screening also. Different screening criteria process than a systematic review often leads to a broader, less defined search, requires multiple structured searches instead of just one. The other limitations are that it increased emphasis for hand searching the literature, may require larger teams because of the larger volume. So it's not just one person's adventure, it's a venture or a collaborative work wherein teamwork is compulsory. Inconsistency in the conduct of the scoping reviews. So there might be some inconsistencies. However, if I find that if a team is dedicated and each member is religiously and dedicatedly, passionately performing their work, I don't think so inconsistency would ever arrive. Now these are some of the resources for the systematic review. For example, this is a wonderful paper written by Moon Z, Peter Sam, Stern C et al. Now here you can see the title is Systematic Review or Scoping Review, Guidance for Authors when Choosing Between a Systematic or a Scoping Review Approach. It's a beautiful thing. One should understand and take that initiative to move ahead also. Guidance for conducting systematic scoping reviews. Now this has been written by Peter Sam, Godfrey C, Khalil H et al, which I really like this particular paper, and I was reading continuously in order to see if I can also adopt and I can start focusing on in my own writing. Similarly, the next paper by Khalil H, Peter Sam and Godfrey C, wherein an evidence-based approach to the scoping reviews, Arksey H and O Mele L, Scoping Studies Towards a Methodological Framework. Now this is again which I have read and I'm impressed with the way the style that they have incorporated. Pham MT, then Redrick A, Greg JD et al, a scoping review of scoping reviews, advancing the approach and enhancing the consistency. Now this is again to take away that limitation, I read this particular article and I understood why the consistency needs to be present rather than the inconsistency. Similarly, one can read the other works also focusing on the scoping reviews, and you can enjoy learning about them. So I think I have given you a brief introduction about the scoping reviews and how to proceed further, and after completing the different reviews, I would be coming in and introducing how each one of these reviews are performed in details also. So I thank all of you, and till then, have a wonderful day and a good weekend too. Bye bye.